What's going on, Paul?
I may have, I'm sure this is completely unrelated, totally unrelated. I may have taken one of the GoPros, gone into the military museum because I studied the Nazis for many years when I was in law school and blah, blah, blah. And I may have invited, if there's any residual energy on the artifacts themselves, the swastika armbands, etc.
You invited Nazis?
Paul. I may have invited...
You invited Nazis?
In his book, The Eternal Now, philosopher Paul Tillich wrote that our language has widely sensed the two sides of being alone, creating the word loneliness to express the pain of being alone, and the word solitude to express the glory of being alone. In the small village of Barrington, tucked away on the far southwestern tip of Nova Scotia, one can readily experience both the loneliness and solitude described by Tillich, depending on your point of view. Founded in 1760 by settlers from Cape Cod, the community has both a rich history and its share of strange mysteries, both of which can be found at the old courthouse. Built in 1843, the building now houses the Western Counties Military Museum, which is home to over 4,000 artifacts and mementos from the many military campaigns that the people of Barrington have been called upon to serve in over the years. But it's also home to a number of ghost stories, which is what led Holly and me there in May of 2017.
So Holly, here we are at the Military Museum, and usually we have the person who runs the place or owns the place give us a walkthrough. And we did today, but she didn't want to do it on camera. She's very shy. And so you took a walkthrough with Brenda, who runs the museum here in the old courthouse. And maybe you can just sort of tell us a bit about some of the things that she said she's heard or other folks have heard, a bit about the background of the courthouse and the hauntings.
This location here was built in 1843. Some of the hauntings and stuff that they've had happen here, she's heard a lot of noises upstairs in the courthouse, which is above us. She hears footsteps, she hears things being dropped, nobody else in the building. They have also heard the sound of somebody whistling in this front hallway here, like physically whistling.
Kind of thing?
Yeah, and then she also told me that when they had someone else, another group in here that was investigating another time, they had a couple of interesting voices that were heard and recorded. One was very clear. She said they heard a man whispering and said, I'm a vet and I've been locked out, which is really interesting considering we have a lot of artifacts here from First and Second World War. And then the other sounds that they heard and picked up were the sounds of somebody, heavy boots upstairs, coming down the stairway. And then they heard this gate door open and close, and then the sound of chains being dropped.
Well, this is the old courthouse, and so this is the old jail cell. This is where you would stick a prisoner if he was waiting to be transported upstairs for his trial or sentencing or whatever.
It is. What's interesting, though, is it used to be larger.
Yes, so it's smaller now.
Much smaller. It used to extend to the other side and then over. And they actually have some of the original boards in here and upstairs from the original jail cell.
They also have creepy Ghost Baby in here. Reasons I don't understand, but we'll just leave Ghost Baby there. So we have a CCTV camera here. We've set one upstairs in the courthouse. We've set one in the hallway, because they've heard sounds in the hallway, right? The jailer. So, and we've set one up in the stairwell over there, because that's one of the things you were saying she's heard, and the chains and...
Yeah, yeah.
So we've got all that covered. I've had audio recorders running in the courtroom and the stairway, because we've been shooting some B-roll and stuff in here. So while that's been going on, I've had those running for the last 2.5 hours. So if there's anything like that going on, we'll be picking it up.
Perfect.
And were there any, don't lock me in here, were there any other stories? I know you want to.
Those are the main ones. A lot of audio that they're hearing, some recorded, some in real time. No visual disturbances that I'm aware of. There is an artifact that's here in the museum, which is really quite interesting. It's a German helmet that she was telling me about, and her knowledge of it is that the helmet itself was taken from a 14-year-old boy in battle. And so that helmet is actually here, which is a little sad.
Well, it's a whole military museum that was set up by veterans, as I understand it. So First World War, Second World War,
yeah.
I assume probably Korea and other things we've been in. They actually have a wall of Canadians killed in Afghanistan, so there are pictures. And how about you take that one first?
Sure.
You're actually a veteran. You served in the militia.
Very true.
And I am not. So I served in the Air Cadets, but that doesn't count.
Reserve Force.
So I am a lawyer by training, and my dad was a judge, so I'll take the courtroom first.
Sounds good.
And then we'll probably both wind up in the jail cell for some reason or another.
Why?
I think it's too small for both of us this time, so maybe I'll do that. But we'll work our way around and see if we hear anything, see if anything happens, and then reconvene and see where we want to go from there.
Sure.
By the way, this is a really cool place. I was telling you earlier, the old meeting house is one of the oldest parts of English Nova Scotia, where planters came from New England after the French were removed, but before the American Revolution. So the old meeting house is just across there. I was over in the cemetery earlier, and the lady who runs the place showed me the oldest grave in the entire cemetery, and it was of a woman who died in childbirth, and her child died too. So they buried her and then put the little child in her arms like this, and her husband's buried nearby. And so I may have invited any of the spirits in the cemetery to just pop by and say hello, and if they have anything to say to us, not in a bad way, because I assume they're all friendly. They've been there for years. It's kind of like a little family. So if there's any of them over there, I said, look, even though we're over in the courthouse, feel free to cross the road and come say hello. Because I've studied this area when I was a grad student in history. These are my people here. So I feel like, if anything's going to come tonight and speak, maybe they'll come speak to me.
Didn't we do this last time?
Yeah, probably.
Didn't we learn from this last time?
Clearly not. So anyway, military room for you, stairwell for me, and historic courtroom upstairs. Go Ghost team. Yeah.
Great. So I didn't want to tell this to Paul earlier, just after his whole thing of inviting things in, because we did this at Queen's, and we got some interesting results at the Queen's Museum. And I couldn't place the feeling that I was having with this room to my left here until he mentioned it. It's reminding me of the archival room at Queen's Museum. So just come and walk in here with me, and I'm interested in what you guys think too, Dylan and Chelsea. Now that I've said that, if you guys get that same feeling when you come in, and look at what's on the walls over here too. I know it's not the Gorhams, but this room gives me that same vibe. So I'm probably going to come in here a little bit later and see if anything decides to try and speak to me again. Maybe a little quieter this time. Yeah? Ooh. I was in this weird room that gives me creeps.
Explain what you heard.
So just kind of just recreating a little bit of the, call response stuff that we were doing at the Queens County Museum. Is there anyone here with me? Someone who would like to communicate here with me? Feel free to try and communicate with me. And then I heard like 2 knocks, or like, no, it was heavier than that. Oh, more like, but it was from upstairs, which is why I came out to see if anybody was up there, but nobody was up there.
No, we were all downstairs.
Everyone was downstairs. Okay. So I'm gonna go upstairs.
Okay.
As Holly made her way upstairs to the courtroom with Dylan and Chelsea, I took the opportunity to explore the military museum by myself and discovered some exhibits that harken back to my days as a young historian.
So this is fun and unexpectedly creepy in a military museum dedicated to Canadian servicemen and women throughout the years. As I come along, you see a whole bunch of exhibits, sailors, soldiers, airmen throughout the First, Second World War, the Afghanistan conflict down there. And then I see this one little section right here. It's sort of one shelf, it's half a shelf actually, of Nazi
memorabilia from the Second World War. Now, I studied extensively the Nazis and the Second World War when I was a history student. In fact, I wrote my honors thesis on the origins of the Second World War in Britain, France, Germany, and Italy, the four major European powers. I've read extensively. I'm probably one of the few people I know that's read Mein Kampf all the way through, and studied the Nazis in particular extensively in law school. I wrote my major paper on the Nuremberg trials, which were the trials of the major war criminals after the Second World War. So here we are, and I have some very clear Nazi memorabilia in front of me. So this is probably a very bad idea. But in for a penny, in for a Reichsmark, as the case may be. If there is any residual energy on these artifacts from Nazi Germany, perhaps you can make yourself known here this evening.
I need more hands. Oh. That's what it sounded like. There's a light on down here. Hello? Hello? Where does this go? Oh, okay, so it turns off here. That's great.
Do these doors open?
This one goes through to the offices, but it's, I came down here earlier, and this light was not on. And this is locked, so you can't get through that way. This is locked, so you can't get to the outside there. I don't know what this is, to be completely honest. Ow. Ugh. All right, I need more hands. You, GoPro. I don't know. This feels wrong. And I don't mean like I shouldn't be doing this, because it's like, this feels wrong. Oh my God. Okay, so I had my hand on this before I turned it, and it felt like someone turned it from the other side. Because it moved slightly in my hand. Why is this light on? Okay, there's clearly nothing in here. There's just a Christmas tree, but the light is on in here. Is it the same light here? Sorry. Yeah. So this is the light that was on. You guys were down here earlier. There was no light on. I was down here earlier. There was no light on. I'm not gonna go in. Ah, I'm gonna go in. Okay, hold on. I think it's just a storage closet. Holy crap. Scary, scary spiders. So many spiders. And now we're gonna close this. Okay, well that was weird and creepy. No spiders? Okay. GoPro. Okay, that was very odd. I'm turning the light off. Unless there's anything here that wants to come out and communicate with us. We're gonna turn off your light, we're gonna go. Do you guys wanna go first?
Sure.
You guys have the gear. All right.
Don't forget the room.
Oh,
Oh,
turn the
never
other
mind.
one.
There's a light up, there's a switch up here, I think. Ready? Wait, I just want to see. Never mind, it does nothing.
What?
Good.
These weren't both on. Okay, well, there's either something weird going on with this electrical or I simply don't understand it. Because these lights were in this position, but only this light was on. This one wasn't on, was it?
No.
No.
Okay, well, this is what these looked like, except now that light is on. But in order to turn that off, I have to reverse them. It doesn't make any sense.
Any of you guys just tap your foot or something? Slam your foot down?
No, I was standing there, and why?
I heard like a noise. Was that not you guys?
No, like I heard like a thud.
Like a thud?
Yeah,
You mean like,
yeah, but like it sounded distant.
Like a door?
I don't know if it was a door. Like it sounded
mean
like
like
somebody's
something-
fist.
Was it upstairs?
Yeah, it sounded like somebody's fist coming down on a table.
Because I had, I had just heard something from upstairs, but it wasn't that noise.
Like almost like it could have shook that place.
What's going on, Paul?
I may have, I'm sure this is completely unrelated, totally unrelated. I may have taken one of the GoPros, gone into the military museum because I studied the Nazis for many years when I was in law school and blah, blah, blah. And I may have invited, if there's any residual energy on the artifacts themselves, the swastika armbands, etc.
You invited Nazis?
Paul?
I may have invited...
You invited Nazis?
I may have invited ghost Nazis to make themselves known in some way. And I would say that if ghost Nazis were going to make themselves known in some way, it would be a...
They'd goose step?
Yeah, maybe a loudish kind of, not subtle. They definitely didn't do subtle. Totally didn't do subtle. It would be loud and obnoxious and annoying. And if you goose stepped, not that I know how to goose, well, I do because I've seen all the newsreels and everything. It would, yeah. If you ever see Nazi newsreels of, you know, that kind of loud, obnoxious.
That's that kind of hard but soft sound that
Right.
was what I was hearing.
When did you do this? Because I heard
Like
two
about-
knocks.
Probably about
Upstairs.
6 minutes ago, 7 minutes ago, maybe.
Okay, that's great.
I was just in there.
Oh, lovely, lovely. So you're going upstairs now, right?
Me? Well, seems fair. I summoned the Nazi ghosts, so that sounds like fitting penalty. I swear I meant
Feel like it's break time. I'm gonna go have a Twizzler.
meant it in the best possible way. Totally in a kind of experimental, you know, make contact with Nazis. I can see now in hindsight, not a good idea.
Before I made my way up to the courtroom, Dylan and I sat down on the stairs to have a quick chat. After a couple of minutes, however, we both felt some sort of presence move by us. A minute later, my brother Jim called out and asked us to return to the area where we had set up the monitor for our CCTV cameras.
So when you guys were in the stairwell there, did you guys pull on the cord from upstairs in the courtroom? Because we saw a clear shift in the camera.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to readjust the shot to where it was before.
Yeah.
Wait, the courtroom camera, the one upstairs?
Yeah, the CCTV upstairs. Like, just when you guys were you guys were filming at the very start of the conversation between yourself and Paul.
In the stairwell.
In the stairwell area. Like, just as basically you sat down, the camera shifted.
In the courtroom.
So, if you want to go back and adjust it or not.
What's wrong?
Well, I don't know if it was us because the cord wasn't anywhere near us.
It's not coming down the stairwell there?
No, we have it coming through the banister. So this is where the cord is. And we were sitting all the way over there.
That's the cord?
Yeah, that's the one for upstairs. We wouldn't have been
Okay,
anywhere
no,
near
you
it.
couldn't have possibly hit it.
No.
Okay, so then something hit the camera upstairs.
Yeah, they're pretty tight.
They don't move?
They shouldn't move.
Our closed-circuit cameras were definitely fixed tight, so as to prevent them from changing position unless they were forcibly moved by someone or something. There is simply no way that they could move like this on their own. What makes this even stranger is the presence of a light anomaly that crosses in front of the camera just before it moves. When you look at the time code on the video and put the light anomaly and camera movement in context with what happened to Dylan and me on the stairs, things become even more strange. The light anomaly moves past the camera, and then the camera moves. And then both Dylan and I react to a presence moving past us, just as two similar light anomalies are recorded passing by us. All of which happened as a continuous event. After reviewing the footage with the team, I finally made my way up to the courtroom, where I was immediately confronted with even more strange activity.
Hey, Dylan. Come here.
Okay, Paul just called me upstairs. Chelsea, you coming?
Yeah.
So I was standing in the middle of the room here, and I was just taking a look at our friend, the CCTV camera, to see is there anything around there or anything at all that could have moved that. As far as I can tell, there isn't. I've made Holly and I talked about this before we came to this episode because we were on a bit of a break. And I said, look, it seems like my shtick is that I'm always getting cold, right? So I'm gonna just try and avoid the cold thing completely because I don't want it to become a shtick. I don't want to be known as the cold guy. But I have noticed a discernible temperature drop up here. And as I was thinking, that seems like a discernible temperature drop, but because I don't want to be the cold guy, I'm not gonna tell anyone. Then I heard from over here, a noise. And I thought, well, that's weird. What is that? And I can tell you exactly what it is because I saw the damn thing move when I walked over here, and I can't get to it because this is where Holly put all these freaking boxes, which were up here, but because it weirded me out, I'm a little weirded out. It was this thing, and it was going, which it's not doing now, of course. Ugh. But it was doing this.
It was moving?
Yes!
I'm freezing in here. Like, it is a lot colder than it was when I first walked in here. I just got cold chills really, really bad.
You're not comfortable in here, are you?
Nope.
You want to leave, don't you?
I want to leave, but for the sake of this, I think we've got stuff happening on it. Right down my spine.
My battery's
right
low.
down my spine.